So I have noticed that the population is divided, I think, in lockdown. I think the population is divided between people that look something like this. Old Magdalena Ventura from last Thursday, but maybe not with the mono boob and the baby that she's too old to be carrying, but the hair, maybe like a few of us, maybe several stone heavier. Some of us, on the other hand, have gone the other way, and we would be more like this. Has anyone been doing PE with Joe? Oh, isn't he a sweetie? I did it once. I've only done it once. So anyway. And I think that the lady that I'm talking about today, or as the subject of the painting that I'm talking today, would most certainly be giving Joe Wicks a run for his money, because this is the painting that I'm talking about today. This is Madame Lala at the Cirque Fernando, and it is by obviously she's a circus performer. It's by Degas, a French artist Degas, and he painted this in 1879. He exhibited it actually, so he exhibited it at the Impressionists exhibition in 1879. So did anyone watch my have a look at my stories and actually get that this was in fact, or this, I was going to say is, she died, this is Madame Lala, Miss Lala. Quite an incredible woman, actually. So Miss Lala was born in Prussia, so what would today be Poland, mixed race, was sold basically to the circus. Maybe I'm being a bit mean. Maybe I'm maligning her mum, but she joined the circus at the age of 9, and was very quickly established herself as quite an exceptional performer. So she was in her early 20s by the time Degas painted her in this famous painting, which is in the National Gallery, by the way. And she had established herself. She was playing in circuses and in music halls all across Europe. In fact, as well as playing in the Cirque Fernando, she also played in the Folies Bergère. So here she is, also on the front of a poster for the Folies Bergère. Sorry, I've just moved the thing. On the front of a poster. Front of a poster? She wouldn't be doing very well on the back of a poster, would she? Sorry, I just realised I'd said that. So here she is on the front of a poster for the Folies Bergère, and here she is performing her signature act. She's in the middle of her signature act, and in her signature act, she would first of all lift a child up with her mouth. Again, obviously she wouldn't actually just lift the child up with her mouth, it wasn't like a little man cub or something. She would have something called an iron jaw that she would put between her teeth and this sort of suspension device, and she would start with a child on this suspension device, and she would be hoisted up way above the audience, and this child would be suspended, and then she would progress to a woman. And then she would progress to a man, and then she would have the cannon in this device, which is what you can see here. And then, as the pièce de résistance, the final flourish, the cannon would be fired. I mean, I've watched a few war films, and I know that when cannons are fired, they don't just stay still. And when I say a few war films, I mean like literally a few, not very many at all. But so she would have been spun around, holding onto this thing, no safety net, no nothing, an absolutely extraordinary woman. So Degas chose to depict her, but here in this painting, she's not she's not performing her signature act. Here she's just merely suspended, again by this iron jaw in her mouth, just probably about 70 foot above the audience. No big deal here. I still wouldn't try it at home, but there she is. And what I love about this painting is that you can only see the ceiling, so you can only see the roof of this arena. You can't see the audience, you can't see the floor. So she really is, you have no idea how much space there is between her and the floor, and she looks so much like she belongs up there in so many ways. She just looks like a little Tinkerbell or something who's flown up to the ceiling. It looks effortless and it looks graceful, and there is absolutely no sign at all of the incredible physical strength that it would have taken, and the pain, and to be honest with you, probably the fear as well, being suspended that high above an audience. And if you notice, the elegance of her body, I think she was also very much known for her elegance as well as her extraordinary talent. Just the way that her knees are bent, and so her legs will go out behind her and her arm out in front of her that follows the beam of the architecture. I can't imagine that she was thinking about following the beam of the architecture when she was suspended by her jaw, but obviously that's a bit of artistic license on Degas' part. But just, probably it was a counterbalance, wasn't it? That was probably the way that she was most comfortable. But just extraordinary elegant and really belying this feat of human strength and endurance and of the mental strength. So angle, interesting, and it actually took Degas quite some struggle to really capture this. So he wanted, I think he knew that she was a special performer. She was famous. I imagine that he knew that he wanted to exhibit this work at the Impressionists exhibition, and so he really wanted to get it right. And so he went to the circus every single night for about a week, nights in a row, and he sketched Madame Lala, Miss Lala, from all different angles. The sketches, some of them are in the Getty in Los Angeles, and he sort of kept on at it from different angles. Kept just looking at how he could best. I think he just wanted to best portray the experience of seeing her live, capture the essence, I suppose, of her performance. He also spent a lot of time working on the architecture, the architectural perspective of this building, and didn't get it right. He reworked it several times and just couldn't actually come to the point where he was really happy with what he'd done. And so, in fact, he had to bring in an expert, presumably an architect, to just sketch it out for him. So there is some unnamed gentleman, presumably somewhere, that helped Degas out with this final finished painting. Degas is quite well known for his odd angles, but I don't think that he would have thought of painting Miss Lala in this way, or indeed probably of many of his other fairly experimental compositions, had it not been for something that sort of smuggled its way into European consciousness and became very influential. And when I say smuggled, I really literally do mean smuggled. Nothing nefarious, I might add. So, somewhere in a different apartment across Paris from Degas, there was a gentleman called Edmond du Goncourt, who is the gentleman here on the left-hand side, looking quite grumpy. The one on the right-hand side looking less grumpy is his brother Jules. And Edward de Goncourt, or Edmond de Goncourt, was a writer. And at some point in the late 19th century, he had ordered something from an objet d'art from Japan. And this objet had arrived, and he was unwrapping it just layer by layer, and as he took off each layer of wrapping paper, he became increasingly more interested in the wrapping paper rather than the objet d'art that he was unwrapping. And so finally, when this objet was unwrapped, he basically wasn't interested in it anymore. He tossed it aside. I don't think he tossed it aside, but he put it aside. And he smoothed out this wrapping paper and took a good look. And what he found on this wrapping paper, what had captured his attention so completely, were Japanese woodblock prints. And he thought these were absolutely marvelous because the perspective, the composition was all like nothing that he'd ever seen. And so he showed these woodblock prints to people like Monet, his friends Monet and Van Gogh, and to Degas. Here's Degas, by the way. There you are. Oh, grumpy old Degas. Bit of a misogynist, not a great person, I don't think, in many respects. So de Goncourt was like, look at these, and Degas absolutely loved the style of these Japanese woodblock prints, and in particular the compositions. And he and many of the other Impressionist artists were highly influenced, and I think that's probably why he managed to, why he had the idea in the first place of presenting Miss Lala from basically the angle that the audience would see her in, and quite, as sort of off centre, almost off. Getting towards the real top left of the canvas, so almost out of the painting in many respects. So I take my hat off to Japanese prints. Oh, and by the way, some people were saying, well, God, that's really strange that this objet d'art was wrapped in something so precious. Well, the Japanese didn't see these as precious at all. They would make them; they were mass produced. And they would be passed around, people would look at them, and then when they'd finished looking at them, they would just repurpose them as wrapping paper, apparently. So I think the best sort of equivalent I could give would be that they were sort of like I don't know, a picture from a magazine or a newspaper or something that, oh yeah, that's quite interesting, and then it's not anymore, and and so then off it goes. But no fish and chips in Japan. Yes, so thank you to the Japanese for their woodblock prints, but mostly thank you to Miss Lala, this extraordinary lady who retired. You'll be pleased to know she did very well. She retired in, I was going to say 1988. She didn't live that long. 1888. In fact, rather sadly, the same year that her performance partner fell to her death. So this, really, really, really was dangerous work that she was doing. And she married an American contortionist, and they had 3 children. And the last bit of documentary evidence we have about Miss Lala is that she applied for an American passport in 1919, and we don't know what happened after that, but I'd like to think that she lived out the rest of her years in America with her lovely American contortionist husband. And by the way, so the circus also was a big deal in Parisian society at the end of the 19th century. And so just coincidentally, or not coincidentally, Edmond de Goncourt, who showed Degas these Japanese prints, he just a few weeks after Degas' painting was exhibited, here we are, let's last look, he had a book published all about the circus and all about the similar characters or the same characters that Degas would have experienced as he was looking to paint Miss Lala at the Cirque Fernando. So there we go. I'm going to put comments back on, and I'm going to turn paintings off. And by the way, I want to say, look, I've worn my circus outfit today. My circus outfit. That's laughable. I couldn't even do hurdles at school. Hurdles were terrifying for me. High jump was so frightening. High jump was so frightening that I think my mum spoke to me and told her that I was absolutely terrified, which I was. And so she was kind to me, but I don't think I jumped over a bar. I just don't understand the concept of wanting to jump over things. I'm not even particularly great at climbing over fences, so this most emphatically but I hope you enjoyed that. So Miss Lala, you can see National Gallery have a fantastic website, so you can just look up Miss Lala, LA, then space LA, by Degas, and you can really explore that painting on the National Gallery's website. I will, of course, post it on my feed. And on Thursday, we'll do more weird paintings. I don't know which ones yet. It's always quite fun to figure that out. And on Saturday, a bit of a departure for you. I'll see what you think. So a slightly new style of pepped up by paintings. So that's going to be interesting, I hope. Have a great week, everybody. Thank you for listening. I hope to see you next time. Take care. Bye.